Hey, what's going on, YouTube? Just coming through with another update. It's been about a month since my last one. In this video, just kind of I'm driving, so it's going to be kind of bumpy and maybe a little bit noisy. But I just kind of want to discuss toxic workplace environments. So there's a lot of things that I've been thinking about lately, and I could speak up at my workplace about it, but in the long term it would end up making me lose my job, or even worse, loss of other stuff. So I've been thinking a lot about toxic workplace environments, and how a lot of people are in that situation where they're kind of stuck in that, because if they quit their job, they'll be jobless and can't afford to pay bills. They could be looking for another job while they're at their job, but they expend so much energy at their job that filling out 50 applications a day, or even just 3, it's like it becomes a task, and then even after filling out 3 a day, after a week, that's 21 a week. If you're doing it 7 days a week, you may only get 2 or 3 callbacks for interviews on those. And then there's probably 50 or 60 other people that have applied for that same job, and it's probably lower level than what you've worked up at your current workplace. So really you're just kind of stuck where you're at, because the shit that's out there is either worse, or 50 other people are applying for it and they're all more qualified, or both. It's a worse paying job, and there's 50 other people that are over there applying for the same job, and they're more qualified than you. So you kind of get stuck at your job. And I guess if you applied long enough, you might get something, but it's definitely probably not going to be better paying than your current job, because you've worked your way up to a position to where you're at. But anyway, so you kind of get stuck there, and they put the workload on you. But the thing is that it gets tricky, and this is at not just my workplace, but a lot of workplaces in general. A lot of people deal with this favoritism in the workplace. So, for instance, in my case, there was a promotion that came up for one of my coworkers, but the offer wasn't extended to anybody else. So it's just kind of well, you're getting promoted, or this guy is getting promoted without having to do an interview or anything. And he's granted the position. Nobody else got offered anything. And if you say anything about it, they'll retaliate against you, which I know is illegal, but it's so hard to prove. It's they can increase your workload beyond your capabilities and say, and then fire you, and just say you weren't keeping up with the workload. And in reality, there would be retaliation, but it's like dealing with a ghost. You can't really prove it, so it's a losing battle. So it's better just to keep your mouth shut and not say anything, so that way you don't lose your job, because there's no telling if you could find another job right away. And if you did, it might only pay half of what you're getting now. And yeah, that's a struggle. And it brings me to this other thing I kind of want to talk about and touch upon, because I think this is a reason a lot of people commit suicide. And you've seen the numbers spike in Japan too. They actually have nets outside of some of their buildings because people get so overworked and, you know, so little compensation for it. They just have to kill themselves to get away from all that. And although I don't really condone suicide, in some cases I can see where suicide is better than the mental gymnastics that you have to go through with some of this situations you put in life. And people sometimes choose that, and sometimes it's even a kind of a revenge thing, because a lot of the people that commit suicide are under like oppressive, you know, regimens. Like they just want, and they know that if they commit suicide, that the people around them are gonna be sad. But like I said, maybe they're like leaders and bosses and stuff, they'll be sad too, but they won't be sad in the sense that, you know, maybe your mom and dad are sad, or like brother or sister sad. They're going to be sad in the sense that they no longer have their workhorse to perform all the work, and now they got to get off their ass and go find another one. But also they have to be sad, or at least fake being sad, because, you know, other people around you in the social circles that you share are going to be, you know, if they don't come off as genuinely sad, and they have to put on their poker face and pretend, then you know, a lot of the people that you share social circles with will begin to question their motives, and they'll lose respect and even possibly their position of power. So in a way, from the person's perspective that committed suicide, if they commit suicide, they put that person that made them want to commit suicide in a position to where they have to respond the way they want them to, which is be sad and pretend to be sad, or lose their position of power. So in a way, it becomes a move to make that person who was oppressing them, or, you know, putting them in that state of mind to kind of face that reality, or face that situation. And I mean, I can kind of see it from the person that commits suicide's perspective. Now, it's always sad when somebody commits suicide, but there's different kinds of sadness. Obviously, there's the fake sadness when, you know, coworkers and bosses and shit are upset that, you know, they lost their workforce and they're gonna have to replace them, versus, like, you know, somebody like that actually genuinely cares about you. And I just kind of wanted to talk over that too. But, you know, going back to my original thing about toxic workplace environments, it's a lot of people are stuck in that situation where they have to put up with the bullshit because they have no other option. And, you know, they're putting in the job applications every week, you know, but 3 is a lot every day. So, you know, even putting in 1 a day is quite a bit, 7 a week. But like I said, it just becomes a task to get other employers to call you back, and when they do, it's just, you know, 50 other people applied, so we'll call you back whenever we've made our decision. You never hear anything back. And, you know, and then a lot of the other jobs that have openings, you know, maybe you started off at your current job at minimum wage and worked your way up to, you know, a nice, so from $7.25 worked your way up to like maybe like $12 an hour or something. And if you were to go somewhere else, even though you have degrees and certifications and stuff, you're gonna be kind of set back a little bit. So like, even if you take a lower, like, and you may have to take a lower paying job that only pays $8 an hour, and even though you have certs and degrees and shit, you know, that's just the rate that the job pays for. And I feel like a lot of this, you know, while I'm not against capitalism at all by any means, I'm against crony capitalism, where you know, at some point it just becomes exploitation. Like, or I guess the companies have all the power. You know, they have all the say so. It's like either you work for us or you live out on the streets and potentially die. And you know, it's like, it used to be a little bit more fair back in the day. Like, it was more of like a negotiation type of situation. But now it's, you know, it's kind of like the thing with the explosion of Instagram and women and stuff. Like, you know, you have a bunch of thirsty dudes on these pictures and stuff, liking these girls' pictures and stuff, and, you know, blowing their sexual market value up. And it just becomes really convoluted really quick. So she can have any one of those guys at any moment. It's the same thing with the jobs now. I mean, these jobs, you know, they open up a position and there's 50, 100 dudes lined up to go work this job. And, you know, statistically speaking, if 50 to 100 people apply, there's gonna be one that's, you know, more qualified than you. And it just, so you're just kind of stuck at where you're at. And what's even worse is, you know, they tell you should be grateful for the job that you have, which in a way you should be, because like I said, it's almost impossible to get a job in the first place. So when you do get a job, I mean, you should be grateful that you're able to provide for yourself. But at the same, on the flip side, you know, it shouldn't be like a one-way power dynamic. You know, it's more of a negotiation. You know, you're giving your skills and labor to a company that's making more money off of you than they're only giving you a percentage of the pie that you're making them. So it should be like a negotiation type of situation, not a, oh, well, you have to work for us or you're going to be homeless type of situation. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at on that. So, and then that leads to the development of these toxic workplace environments and unfairness in the workplace. You know, you have to do what your boss says or you're going to be fired and put out on the streets. And you know, I see unemployment rising in the next couple years, especially as crony capitalism is taking further. I'm not a socialist or a communist by any means, but I mean, they do have a point when it comes to exploitation and capitalism. It's more so on the side of crony capitalism, but I mean, obviously you don't want to like redistribute the wealth completely or even marginally, because you know, all the big businesses and stuff that bring money into the cities and stuff will leave, and then you'll be in for an economic collapse. But you also don't want to swing too far on the other side where with the corruptedness, because that's what leads to union strikes and shit like that, shut down of businesses, and it's the same things, man. They just kind of push people in that direction, and it ends well for nobody. So I don't know, it's just, and I just kind of wanted to talk about this because I've been thinking a lot about it lately, and a lot of people, they're stuck in these situations like that, where people that are less qualified are getting promoted. You know, if you're not part of the old boys club, you're gonna be a workhorse, and with nobody respecting you, and they don't have to respect you because they know that you can't get a job somewhere else and that you're stuck there. And if you quit, you know, you could become homeless and can't pay your bills. And they would love nothing more than to see your ass homeless on the street and just to rub it in your face, man. And they don't care if you die. Like I said, the only thing they're sad about when that happens is they lose their workhorse. But you're also replaceable too, and that's anywhere you go. It's hard, man. Really, there's no. I haven't thought of anything to do to really balance it out. Because even though you get more degrees and more of a skill set, it's still there's 50 other dudes that are, you know, on that same level. It's like, what do you do, you know? And shit's becoming more automated and stuff. So it's only gonna get worse from here on out. So I don't know. I don't know if there is a solution. I think overall, like, well, America's gonna be on a downfall. And it doesn't, you know, because capitalism does work, but when it's corrupted capitalism, I mean, you're going to see a far pushback on that. And that's why I think a lot of people are adopting the idea of communism. I'm not for communism at all, but I know a lot of people I see around me are starting to adopt that ideology, Marxism and stuff, and that's been over the past couple of years. So, but I mean, I can't really blame them. I see where they're coming from, but at the same time, it's like, you know, they create these unfair workplace conditions where people are getting promoted not based off the qualifications, but by how well they get along with their superiors. You know, how well you can stroke the shaft. I mean, and what really makes me sad about it is, I know, like, I'm one person or whatever, and my situation is unique with that, but like, there's a lot of other people in the same situation. I mean, obviously, well, I say unique because actually it's not really unique, so scratch that. But I say that, you know, what's really sad is, you know, even though I'm in my situation, I know a lot of other people are in a similar situation where the jobs, or where, like, people are getting treated unfairly in the workplace, and it just, I don't know what to say, you know. Just don't know what to say, because there's really no remedy to that. And like I said, like, suicide, you know, it's not really an option. But when people commit suicide because of shit like this, I mean, and then people act surprised, it's kind of like, you know, are you really that surprised? Like, especially when, like I said, you know, those people in Japan are jumping out of buildings. They had to put those nets down and stuff. I mean, that just goes to show you that when crony capitalism takes the helm, just as bad as, you know, it's not, you know, it's not the central authoritarian government that is killing people like we've seen in communism. It's the people killing themselves because they're under, through their own choice, because they're under such stressful conditions. I mean, you still have a death toll. And, if capitalism wasn't crony, then it could work, man. But it's the same thing, and people just get greedy. And it's the same thing with communism. That's why communism will never work. It's because people are greedy. I mean, but like I said, there's really no system that is foolproof of that. So it's hard to I think it's just a reality of life, really. It's hard to accept. And who's to say if I wasn't in a better position or more charismatic that I wouldn't be crony in my own way? Like, so who am I to... I can't really judge the people that are dishing it out either, because I'd like to think that I wouldn't be that way, but I've also never really been in a position of power, so I can't really say if I wouldn't or wouldn't be, because you don't really know until you know. But I like to think I wouldn't be, but like I said, you don't know until you know. Like, and I think that goes back to a quote too. It's like I think Abraham Lincoln said it. It's like, if you want to see a man by his real character, almost any man can face adversity, but to trust a man's true character, give him power and see what he does with it. And I mean, like, nobody's perfect, obviously, but like, things are different when you put the sword to the grindstone. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you may say that, yeah, you wouldn't like do certain things for this amount of money, but when you're put in that situation, and maybe like it gets even more convoluted, because maybe you have people in your life that are suffering, that it's like, oh, if you kick this kitten, I'll give you $1 million. And $1 million, and your mom's in the hospital with some sort of disease, and that $1 million would cure your mom. It's complicated situations like that. I mean, would you kick the kitten? I mean, some people would, some people wouldn't. And you could even put in a hypothetical. It's like, oh, would you kill the kitten for $1 million? And $1 million would cure your mom of the disease that's, inevitably going to kill her. So it's, these situations are real. So from that aspect, I can kind of see why, these toxic workplace environments evolve into that, because although I can only say, it looks unfair from my end, maybe the guy that got promoted, without the offer being extended to me, maybe he was in a situation where he needed more money, and they just kind of was like, well, we're just going to skip over me and just give him the promotion, so that way he can get the money to take care of a family member or something. You never really know those situations. So and then in that case, is it crony capitalism? It's debatable. I don't know. But regardless, I mean, crony capitalism still exists. Obviously, when the market's so fucking flooded like it is. And you have 50 dudes like on Instagram with the models and stuff, and they're giving them millions of likes and shit. And it's the same thing with the jobs. Like everything's just so hyper inflated right now. I think it's inevitable that America's on the downfall. And it's gonna sound like that fucking doomer meme or whatever, mid-20 doomer meme or whatever, where it's like, oh, he's waiting for societal collapse, but this time it might be for real. I don't know. And then fucking who knows, man. And I could be wrong or whatever, you know, but yeah, at this point, I don't think it matters. Like, well, the government, the government doesn't really matter at this point. I mean, they're gonna do what they're gonna do, but like, it's been so far fucked off at this point that it's been on the downfall for a while now, that, you know, it doesn't matter who we get in office. The government can't really do anything about it. The companies could do something about it, but, you know, a lot of them are just being greedy and shit, so, I mean, it's inevitable. They're just gonna run the resources dry, and shit's gonna fall apart, man. We're gonna be in for another fucking revolution of sorts. I don't know. Or at least an economic collapse. But like I said, I don't really have a problem with our current president. I don't even really, I never really had a problem with who the president is, because, you know, at that level, they're just a fucking figurehead, man. Everything's ran behind the scenes, and like I said, you know, there's good things about socialism, there's good things about capitalism, and they want to, the government, I think, is acting as a facade to divide the public, so that way the crony capitalists can collect more of that fucking sweat off of your back, man. It's really what it comes down to. And they want to keep you divided and fighting each other while they collect the money. I mean, that's what it is. They'll make it fucking red versus blue, Republican versus Democrat, socialism versus fucking capitalist. You know, whatever. Fucking throw a label on it and divide them up, man. We're gonna collect this work while they're busy fighting each other. I mean, that is what it is, man. And the best part is, it's of your own free will. They don't even have to fucking put you in ball and chain anymore. But, fuck, man. What are you gonna do, right? Just fucking cog in the machine. Just gotta fucking push along with it. But, yeah, this rant has gone on way too long. It's starting to get convoluted and shit, so it's kind of strayed off of the original topic of toxic work environment to fucking government policies and politics. But like I said, I don't really care who's in the fucking office. I never really did. I mean, it's all a bunch of bullshit anyway. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not against Trump. I wasn't against Obama. I'm not against fucking George Bush. I wasn't against Bill Clinton. Like I said, I don't think it really matters who's in there. I don't really claim to be Democrat or Republican. Because, like I said, it's all a ruse to get everybody riled up and this and that. I mean, I'm more of like an individualist. I have my own personal beliefs and shit. Like, but I'm not really gonna get into all that because there's no point. As far as this video goes. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to rant about that and kind of shine some light on some stuff, figure out, because a lot of I mean, by talking to myself and talking about it out loud, I can help kind of clarify my own thoughts on it. On the workplace environment, because I've been thinking about it a lot, but I haven't really talked about it to anybody. I mean, I've obviously I bitch about work, but I haven't really thought about why I'm bitching about work and why I feel the way I feel about it. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, you bitch about the daily struggles and shit, but it's like, have you really thought about why shit is the way it is? And yeah, so it helps me to kind of talk about it out loud to really solidify what's going on. And that's kind of where I'm at on it. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope you guys are having had a good weekend, and are gonna have a good week. And let me know what your guys' thoughts on this shit is, because, like I said, I'm not really set in stone on anything at this point. That's just the way I see it now, but obviously subject to change as more information becomes relevant. Really, I'm for a capitalist society, but like at the same time, it's when that crony capitalism kicks in. It's like, all right, I can kind of see that exploitation counter argument that the communists are giving, but I'm against communism really, but I can kind of see where they're coming from on that argument, because it does kind of feel like that sometimes, especially when you're in the mix and getting fucked over constantly, and then the workplace or the workforce is inflated with people trying to get jobs. It's hard not to fall into that ideology. So, well, anyway, like I said, let me know what your guys' thoughts are on this fucking bullshit, and I'll see you guys in the next video, and I hope you guys had a good weekend. Hope you guys have a good week. I know a lot of you guys are in that situation where you're at work and it's like, fuck, man, when's it my time, man? Haven't I done enough? When you're getting passed up by people who don't even have degrees, and they don't have fucking any certs or anything, and have done a fourth of the work of you. Yeah, it could seem unfair, but it is what it is. I'm not worried about it anymore. I've just kind of accepted it as that's just how the world works, man. It's not fair, and it's not going to be fair. And I'll just keep applying for jobs, man. I've been applying every day for a while, so we'll see how it goes. I'm going to keep my cool attitude. I'm going to keep doing my job now the way that I've been doing it. And then I'm going to keep applying for jobs. And we'll see how it goes. But right now, this is kind of where I'm at. I hope you guys have a good week. I hope you guys have a good week. Had a good weekend. And I'll see you guys in the next video. We're cut out for real this time. Peace.